Today, I'm going to be making some well overdue improvements to Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort. I've made the last minute decision to go to the Ford Power Live show on the South London Retro Power Crew stand. Had loads of traffic to get through, down on power, adjustable SPAX, shock absorber inserts, proper bit of kit, cable tie. Disappointing fail. Rusted away, hitting the anti-tramp bar, come away from the mount there that's clamped to the exhaust. Yeah, that's broken. Got to use brute force. Come on. Fails continuing. Little bit of rust coming through here. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today I'm going to be making some well overdue improvements to Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort. I've already got Maude out of the garage here at home, and I'm going to be taking her over to my other garage where all my tools are to make today's jobs a bit easier. So let's hit the road. Now I've got an extremely busy day planned today because it's already about lunchtime. And as well as working on this car today, I've made the last minute decision to go to the Ford Power Live show tomorrow. And luckily for me, a guy called Big J is unable to make it. So he's very kindly said that I can take his place. So yeah, it looks like I'm going to be taking Esther to the Ford Power Live show tomorrow, and I'm going to be on the South London Retro Power Crew stand. And I love the South London Retro Power Crew. They are literally legendary in terms of the meets and shows and stuff. I'm sure there's going to be a massive, massive crowd of awesome cars, and I'm hoping to be meeting up with them and convoying to the show with them. So yeah, really, really looking forward to tomorrow. Obviously, this video will be out after that show, so if you did see me at the Ford Power Live show, massive, massive shout to you. Also want to send a massive, massive thanks out to Big J for letting me take his ticket. And Big J actually refurbishes wheels and interiors. So if any of you guys are in the market for any of that sort of thing, definitely get in touch with him and let him know I sent you. I'll leave a link to his Facebook page in the description. I need to stop up at Tool Station on the way to my other garage and grab a couple of bits. And then I'm going to get myself to my other garage as soon as I can, get Maude jacked up in the air, and then I'll continue this video. So I'll see you in a sec. All right, so I made it to the garage. Had loads of traffic to get through, which means I've got even less time around here today. Got Maude jacked up in the air, and I've already got her front wheels removed. Actually had a bit of grief with Maude on the way here as well. When I came out of Tool Station, she just seemed to be down on power. I did pull over and just check that she was still running all 4 cylinders, which she was. So I think it might be the VVT solenoid that's not working, but I don't have my tuning laptop with me, so I'll have to have a look on there another day. I've already got Esther out of her garage, and yeah, she is definitely going to need a thorough wash before tomorrow's show. And I've got at least one thing I want to do on Esther before I give her a wash later, so hopefully I've got time for all that. But first, let's crack on with Maude. And I'm sure some of you can already guess exactly what's happening today with Maude, especially if you saw the last video where we changed the suspension on Esther. Because yes, today we're going to be looking at Maude's suspension. So over here I've got the blue Bilstein front legs that I removed from Esther in the last video. These are from a 2.8i Capri, I think. Completely stock shock absorbers. They obviously haven't been converted to coilovers or anything like that, but they're definitely going to be an upgrade compared to the suspension that Maude is currently running. These front legs on here are stock 1300 Mk2 Escort front legs, but I have fitted lowered springs and they've actually got adjustable SPAX shock absorber inserts in them. But there's one thing that's not very good about Maude's current front legs, and that particular thing has prevented me from doing a modification to Maude that I've wanted to do for ages. Because on these stock 1300 front legs, the steering arm is actually cast into the body of the strut. So it's not bolt on like they are on these Capri struts. And as you can see, I've already got some steering arms attached to these. They're not bolted on properly, and these aren't normal steering arms. These are actually a bit shorter than stock. So basically this bit here where your track rod end goes in is closer to the pivot point
of the shock. And what that means is that you end up with more steering lock, which is obviously beneficial for drifting. Now, these steering arms were actually given to me by a guy called Lee Wallace, probably about 2 years ago. So massive, massive thanks and a shout out to you if you're watching, mate. Sorry it's taken so long for me to actually use these steering arms, but I am very excited to see how they're going to improve Maude's lock. I haven't fully bolted them on yet because I'm not sure if the nut that goes on the ball joint from the track control arm will be able to be put on there with these in the way. So yeah, I'll get the struts fitted before I finalise bolting these steering arms on. But yeah, these are a proper bit of kit. Really solid, thick. I'm guessing they're sort of billet steel. They're a bit heavy to be alloy, but yeah, really cool. I've already tested these steering arms on a stock steering rack that I've got in my garage, which has the same track rod ends that are currently fitted to Maude. And yeah, they're not correct for these steering arms, so I'm probably going to have to change the track rod ends to RS ones. Yeah, that's problem number one that I've identified. Now, there is something else I'm potentially worried about, and that is that I've got non-RS hubs. Now, I do believe that these are RS discs, which don't really fit great. They're a bit close to the track rod end. But yeah, first thing I need to figure out is whether this hub and disc is actually going to bolt up to the new struts okay. So I think I need to suss that out before I completely take Maude's suspension apart. So I'll get the caliper out of the way and then I can take the hub and disc off. Now, the good thing about the Mark IIs, they have this sort of extra strengthening bracket here. So I literally always have a cable tie attached here so that whenever I remove Maude's caliper, I can just hang it up out the way there. Now, I know that this is going to go on the spindle okay, or is it? Well, that is a disappointing fail. Oh well, really glad I didn't start stripping the front leg off of Maude now. Alright, so I've just been looking in my garage and I actually have a set of front wheel bearings for a Mk2 Escort, Mexico or RS2000. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to even fit in these non-RS hubs I've got, and I'm pretty sure the Mk2 RS bearings were different than the Mk1s. So yeah, there's no real way of telling whether those bearings are going to be usable. So I'm not going to waste time trying to switch the bearings over, because yeah, if they don't work, I'll only have to put the stock bearings back into the hubs to get Maude back together. And seeing as I've got other stuff I want to crack on with today, as well as getting INSTA ready for tomorrow's show, I think I'm going to abort the suspension job. I'm going to put all this mess back how it was and move on. All right, next up, I'm going to be changing something on Maude, which some of you out there might not actually agree with, because it's going to make her a lot quieter, which I know my neighbours would be happy about. Because yeah, I think it's about time we tried to get rid of Maude's hanging exhaust system. So Maude has an Ashley mild steel exhaust system fitted. It's a single box system, so there's no silencer in the middle of the exhaust system. It's literally just the back box. But really and truly, I don't think that back box is doing anything in terms of silencing the sound. And this front bit of the centre section sort of rusted away. So I basically cut the slits further down, and now the exhaust is essentially a couple of inches forward than it was when I first bought it. Now, if you've been watching my videos, especially recently, you'll know we've got an issue with the exhaust actually hitting the anti-tramp bar, or at least I think that's what's going on. It makes a right racket and it sounds like it's coming from here. Now, I've actually bought a used exhaust system and I got it from Speed Shack in West Drayton. I will leave their links in the description. I've known Steve at Speed Shack for years. He's a really knowledgeable, really helpful guy. And one of the many things they specialise in is wheel nuts and wheel studs. You can literally give Steve a ring, tell him what wheels you got, tell him what car you've got, and he will almost certainly have studs in stock and ready to ship out. But yeah, he sells loads of parts for classic Fords and other cars in general. And yeah, I saw this used exhaust system on his eBay and phoned him up and went and collected it basically straight away. And here is said exhaust system. Now, this was listed as an Ashley system, but unlike the one that's fitted to Maude currently, it doesn't actually have Ashley written underneath. Doesn't necessarily mean it isn't an Ashley one. and I'm not really bothered on the brand. It's just a cheap, used, mild steel exhaust system. Now, it's not exactly mint, but it is a million times better than the exhaust system that's currently fitted to Maude. It looks like this one is designed to line up with the original exhaust bracket, which is still fitted to Maude, although that's not actually being used with her current system. The only thing I'm slightly worried about with this system is there seems to be an extra kink at the front here where it meets the exhaust manifold. Now that might not be an issue. I don't know until I try and fit this. But before I trial fit this exhaust system, I'm obviously going to have to remove Maude's really crusty old one, which I'm sure is going to be a bit of grief, but I've already sprayed the nuts on the clamps with WD-40. I probably should spray some actually on the joints themselves. And yeah, let's see how long this actually takes to remove. Now, this joint at the front has been separated and then reconnected loads of times, but this one here, I don't think has ever been separated since I fitted this exhaust, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. And I am going to need to separate that. And it looks like the rubber ring that I put on recently has already come away from the mount there that's clamped to the exhaust. Yeah, it was getting really loud again the last couple of days. Now, I think I'm going to leave the front one tight and just focus on getting this joint here separated. Really do need these clamps to not break as well. That would be really handy. That doesn't sound good. That's broken. I suppose that can just stay there now. Yeah, so this system's just bolted to the boot floor with these cotton reel things, which look very perished. Okay, that one's just undone itself from inside the boot. So now I've just got to use brute force and hope put the axle stands onto the car rather than the axle. Now there's more space between the axle and the car. Come on. Oh dear, the fails continue. I was sure that Maude's exhaust system was a 2-inch one, and I saw that this one was listed as a 2-inch one. But I think Maude's old system was a 2¼ inch one. Now, this system that I bought from Speedtrack was a cross-flow system, but with the Ashley systems, a cross-flow system and a Zetec system are the same because the exhaust runs down the same side as a cross-flow when you use a Zetec. Yeah, it's only the manifolds that are different. But yeah, it's not going to work. It was worth a punt. You know, it was there, available for me to pick up straight away. It was cheap. So that's 2 fails today. And they say bad things come in threes. What else could possibly go wrong? Hello, so it's been probably 3 hours since the last clip, but don't worry, I haven't spent the whole time sulking about today's fails. I do have Maude back on all fours now, and I haven't bothered refitting her old exhaust. Maude's exhaust is, yeah, hanging. It literally sounds like she's straight piped. So yeah, I thought there's no point putting that old system back on. I was thinking about maybe buying a reducer so that I could use the system that I bought. But yeah, with that extra kink at the front, it's not going to work. I'm guessing that whatever manifold that's designed to be used with has got an extra kink maybe where the manifold meets the centre section. I don't know. But yeah, it's not going to work without a load of hassle. And then even if I do make it work, I'll end up with, you know, a thinner bore exhaust, which may or may not restrict power. So yeah, Maude won't be back on the road until I get that new exhaust system. And in the meantime, I'm also going to get a set of the RS style hubs so that I can fit the Capri struts to her. But what I've been mainly doing for the last couple of hours is getting Esther ready for tomorrow's show. So as you can see, Esther is looking a lot more presentable now after her first wash since the Summit Run show in Northern Ireland. Yeah, absolutely love this car, especially when she's freshly washed. I've given the engine bay a bit of a once over, Oh, there is one thing I found in the engine bay the other day actually that I haven't shown you, and that is a little bit of rust coming through here. Might be a bit awkward to repair because it's underneath this bonnet hinge. It's definitely not major yet, but yeah, it's there, and it definitely goes, you know, the other side of the hinge there as well. So definitely gonna have to get that sorted at some point. I'll probably worry about that during the winter or next spring. But yeah, the car has had a snow foam and a shampoo, and I've used the Lazy spray on wax stuff. I do think I'm gonna have to give the car a proper, you know, wax on, wax off polish at some point soon. There's definitely bits of dirt and stuff that are, you know, sort of leaving marks on the paint. I did give the wheels a bit of a wash as well, gave the rims a bit of a polish with Autosol. So yeah, she's definitely good enough for tomorrow's outing. Now, there was something I was hoping to crack on with today, and it's something that loads of you have been in touch recently to give me advice about, which I really, really appreciate. Going to the cockpit, I do need to give this cockpit a bit of a hoover before tomorrow, definitely. But yeah, I fitted this temporary clutch pedal stop recently, and I just glued it to the bulkhead because I didn't want to go ahead and drill a hole unnecessarily, and it would have been a bit awkward with the pedal in the way anyway. And loads of you got in touch to say that I should drill a hole in the pedal and then basically have a bolt in there with some sort of rubber end, and then not only would that be adjustable, but it would save the need for drilling a hole in the bulkhead. Now, I've got to be honest, when I stuck that rubber thing to the bulkhead, I was kind of thinking maybe I should drill a hole in the pedal, but I didn't have anything rubber that I was going to be able to attach to the end of the bolt. And yeah, I just wanted to do something then, because I didn't want to keep driving the car, potentially having too much throw on the clutch and, you know, potentially ruining the clutch that we fitted in Northern Ireland. So yeah, I just needed to do something to hopefully protect the clutch. But I will be taking everything you guys said on board, and I've actually already bought something from eBay to do a more permanent clutch pedal stop. But yeah, I won't have time to do that today, because yeah, I want to give the car a hoover out. The windows I can do in the morning. Definitely got to give this boot area a hoover out, and then maybe a quick wipe over with some wax or whatever, and then I can put the spare wheel back in the boot. But yeah, the days are getting shorter now, so it's probably going to get dark relatively soon. So I think I'm going to crack on with hoovering the car out and packing up round here off camera. Now, I'm sure some of you out there might be wondering why I bothered even uploading this video, seeing as it was just fail after fail with Maude, and other than that, all I've done is wash the car. But on the other hand, I do get loads of you getting in touch to say that you really enjoy me showing you the good as well as the bad with what goes on in my classic Ford-based life. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video short and end it here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs up anyway. I've had so much bad luck. If you're new, click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media, my own website. I'll leave a link to my Patreon down there for anyone who wants to jump on that. Massive, massive thanks, as always, to all my patrons. I really, really appreciate your support. I'll leave my email address in the description for anyone who wants to contact me. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.